So that was Alabama, Georgia. The thing on the docket that I really wanted to get a handle on, that I think we did, frankly, is how sharp was Ohio State going to look compared to its counterparts? Counterparts being the other teams in that top four, right? Those what we think are going to be the bye seeds. Texas, Alabama, Georgia. And against a Michigan State team that I thought might be able to give them something like a problem, Ohio State stared it down, said, nah, we good. 21-31 for Will Howard, two TDs and a pick. Trey Henderson had 7 carries, 66 yards, but the guy that stole the show once again was Jeremiah Smith. They look sharp like a Hanzo sword, dog. It's not just that the offense was scoring, it's that the defense didn't allow Michigan State to do much of nothing. I'm watching old Sammy Baugh on that 33 out there just throw a dart. It's no big deal. 1 of 1. I'm watching Jim Knowles' defense continue to just turn the screws. I'm watching Caleb Downs do what Caleb Downs does. And I'm thinking to myself, how much better do I expect this team to get? And who can chase them down in the Big Ten? And I just don't see it. Michigan once again proved to me they can't close. Against a Minnesota team that they had beaten, they gave up 21 in the fourth quarter, and had there not been a penalty and an onside kick, maybe they lose that football game. And Sharon Moore knew about it and said, look, we got to go back to drawing board on all this. And he's right. They need to figure that out quick, fast, and in a hurry. I need you to be able to close, and I need you to have a quarterback that can throw the damn football. Like, 10 of 18 for 86 yards is going to beat Minnesota. Apparently, 7 of 12, 32 is going to beat USC. It's not going to beat Bama. It's not going to beat USC. USC. It's not going to beat Ohio State. It's not going to beat Bama. It's not going to beat Ohio State. I don't know that that's going to beat Penn State. Not that they got Penn State on the schedule, but you get my point here, right? Is that going to beat Oregon? No. Oregon is still in the middle of the game as we are talking right now. But I feel confident in saying you're not going to be able to run on everybody you play. Maybe you'll start out that way. Maybe Khalil Mullins gets loose. Maybe Alex Orgy gets loose. But you're going to have to throw the football at some point to Tyler Moore, to Fred Moore. You got to throw the ball to Colston Loveland. You're going to have to figure it out with Alex Orgy. I just don't see it. And as I'm going down the Big Ten, Nebraska gets a win against Purdue. Good for them. They get back on the good foot. We see Penn State basically outlast a good Illinois team. So they've now beaten a ranked opponent. But I'm still trying to... Do we think that Illinois is really that good is a great question to ask right now, because I think that is how we're going to have to start talking about Penn State. Do we think that Penn State is good? The Lions came in with the top 10 rushing attack, and Katron Allen and Nick Singleton been great. But I think for them, Illinois is a really great win to have on the resume, because going into this week, only Illinois and Tennessee, who's on a bye, had multiple wins against top 25 opponents. So you really want that one in your back pocket if you can get it. And they did. Also, this was an Illini team that had not allowed a rushing TD in its first 4 games and was giving up just 12.5 points per game. Again, they beat ranked opponents. They beat a ranked Nebraska, who was barely there, and they beat a ranked Kansas, who isn't as good as we thought, right? So do we think that Penn State is great because of what they were able to do? Not necessarily, but do we think that they're bad? No. Do I think that they can make the Big Ten championship game? Now we're talking. Because right now it feels like you're talking about Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, because we have to right now, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like Michigan, Penn State would be a fair fight right now. And that's not saying too much, given that I think Drew Allers turned out to be 3 times the quarterback that Alex Orgy is. To say nothing of whatever that defense might be able to muster or not muster, who got drug into the deep water by Bowling Green. And I'm continuing to go down it, and I'm looking around, I'm going, damn, am I going to have to start saying nice things about Indiana? Because they're 5-0 for the first time since 1967. But we've been here before with the teams that don't really have anybody on their schedule and the teams that we don't believe, right? So like a couple years ago, I remember Rutgers was off to a really great start, and they were pushing Michigan into the deep water. Turned out to just be Rutgers again, right? Is that what we're going to get out of Indiana? I don't know, but I'll be interested to find out. Be very curious to see what happens there. I think Ohio State is getting sharper each and every week, and that's what you want if you are a Buckeye fan. You don't want them to peak right now, and Mick Marotti knows this, right? You have to play this game all the way through without really a break of any kind that's longer than a week into the Big Ten championship game, should you get there. And then there's that 4-week sprint to the national championship game. So they're building. But as they're building, I do want to point that Emeka Buka's continued to carry his weight. He had 5 for 98 against Western Michigan. He had 5 for 117 against Marshall. And he had 7 for 96 against Michigan State. This is while I'm watching continuously Jeremiah Smith have a season of seasons for a true freshman. The true freshman wide receiver class is just ridiculous. I talked a little bit about what Ryan Williams was doing in this game, which basically came back and won them the football game late, but I need to put a fine bow on this. What we've seen from that 17-year-old, we just haven't seen that at that age at Alabama. It reminds me a lot of what Jamison Williams was doing with Bryce Young a couple years ago, 3 years ago. He had 6 catches for 177 yards and a TD against the number 2 team in the country. And I watched him stick Malachi Starks in a blender and hit puree when the game was on the line. That's how you draw it up. That's what you want it to be. I was very impressed with what I saw from Alabama against Georgia. And man, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking Alabama's got to be the number 1 team in the country right now with that win. No matter what Texas has done, because A, Alabama's got the best win in college football. Alabama has proven to be the only program capable of beating Georgia at any stretch since 2020. And right now, Texas' best win is against a Michigan team that damn near gave it up today with 21 points that they allowed by that defense that seemed to be doing whatever it wanted up until then. And that team was ranked number 10 in the country at the time, right? The USC win made them look a little bit better. And USC beating Wisconsin doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. But given what Jalen Milroe was showing today, given what Ryan Williams was showing today, and given what Kenny Womack's defense showed in the first half against Georgia, I'm inclined to believe that that's the number 1 team in college football. As a matter of fact, I think that's what it's just going to be. Especially given what this game has meant to so many and what it means to the sport right now in the age of the 12-team playoff. The question for me now is, how many teams is the SEC going to get in, depending on what Texas does against Oklahoma in just a week's time, my goodness. And then, of course, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and we'll go from there.